We're going to be using the crystal on self tonight. And this is all based on Marcel Vogel's techniques on how to use the crystal to discharge the crystal of its memory and then recharge the crystal. So crystals hold unlimited amounts of memory, just like a memory stick, but it can store unlimited amounts. It also amplifies your intentions and stores your emotions. So it's always good to be mindful whenever you're using your crystal. And with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull up my notes that I've made in Word. So we're going to be healing ourselves, and the number of sides on a crystal determines the energy that is held by the crystal. The spin rate increases with the amount of sides or facets that a crystal has. It acts like a mirror, and it reflects the energy through, and it spins it through the tip. So what we have here is the negative end, which is usually the broken end on a natural crystal. And if you have a Vogel crystal, it's going to be the shorter end with the short point. Now, the positive end is going to be the one that the charge comes out of, like a laser beam. And the Vogel crystals has a little bit longer tip, and they are cut to specific shapes. That shape that a Vogel crystal is cut to is based on the tree of life. And if you study the tree of life pattern, you will see the design in its shape, where one end is a little bit longer, is like more elongated than the shorter end. But they all have like a pyramid formation. And this is what amplifies the energy through it. So the short end of the crystal, it has the pyramid angle and is the input side. That's what we just discussed with the negative. So that charge is going to come through the palm of your hand, through the crystal, and out the other end. And the long end is the output side and is positive. The crystal in this shape acts as a diode and utilizes energy coming from the body. You focus your intentions out of the positive end, and the short end will attract the energy flowing from your body, from your palm, and the long end will send the energy outwards. A natural crystal has the same capabilities as a Vogel cut crystal. The natural formation on the tip is the positive end and is the one you rest your index finger on. So when we're using these, what you're going to do is you're going to actually have your finger on one of the facets, not on the very tip, but on one of the little facets at the top. And you'll hold this end outwards to radiate the intentions in the direction you desire, just like a wand. This is why we see magic wands and stuff in the movies. It's because it's going to be kind of like a pointer, a laser pointer or a wand. And I call this finger right here, your index finger on the tip, the trigger finger. And the cut end is the negative polarity, which is right here. And your energy flows into this outward through the tip. I want to repeat that constantly so that you kind of understand the mechanics of it. The crystal acts as a conduit to amplify your intentions. So it's very important that when you're working with a crystal, that you're in the right state of mind, that you're in loving and kind and a very good mood, because otherwise, that if you've got any kind of negative thoughts or energy coming through, it can adversely affect the results of what you're trying to accomplish. So some important things to note: using your imagination is key to using the crystal. You have to use a lot of visualization techniques and really focusing your intention on these images that you project. So the visualization is what's going to create your reality. Also to note, smoke will keep the crystal from functioning. This is very important because that's one of the things that Marcel learned, is that when someone was smoking or there was any kind of smoke near a crystal, it would stop functioning completely and he could not do his tests. So make sure there's no smoke. That means no incense or anything like that when you're using a crystal. Crystals are piezoelectric, If you apply an electrical charge to the sides of a crystal, a sound can be created. And that's something interesting to note, because I mean, they use them in computers and different technologies that we use today. And it is, this is kind of humorous, but at the same time, it's to save anyone from any embarrassment. It's recommended that you blow your nose before this practice, because we're going to be exhaling from our nostrils constantly. And, you know, you might want to just kind of make sure the cliffhangers aren't ready to start hanging from the expulsion of mucus. But it's just, you know, just to save some grace here. All right. And it's best to do some pranayama exercises before doing this practice. And we do this by harmonizing both of our hemispheres of the brain. In order to harmonize both hemispheres, you place a finger on the left side of the nostril to close off the inhalation on that side. What you're going to do is you're going to inhale from the right, and then you're going to change sides and you're going to exhale from the left. So there's going to be this action that happens in order to start balancing the hemispheres of your brain and get them oscillating together as one. And the connectivity amplifies as well as the electricity in your body. So this is really important. So before we start any of this stuff, we're going to do this pranayama together. Okay, so there's more people. Let me go ahead and let some more people in. Let me see who else is here. Wow, yeah, we got a lot of people. I need to make another. Let me go ahead and make somebody else the host, because I'm going to be talking a lot. I'm not going to be able to focus too much on what is going on here, because it's very important. I just want to make sure that everybody gets the information and we can all follow along. So I'm going to go ahead and make you co-host, John, since you're readily available. And if you could just watch the people who are coming in, allowing people in. If there's any questions, if you can just alert me, because I've got to kind of focus on what I'm trying to do. Okay, and Calvin, I got to find your name, Calvin. Let me see if I can find you over here. Let me see, I'll make you. There you are, I found you. All right, there we go. If you guys can handle the volume, because I know we're going to have a lot of people here, and that's great. I'm happy about that. So we're going to go ahead and continue where I was. The people that are just allowed into the room, you can just go back on the notes. I'm going to be recording this. We're recording this now, by the way, and you can go back through the recording and start over where we've already covered. We haven't actually started the practice yet. I'm just kind of going over the notes of what the capabilities of the crystal can do. So it's going to be very important to kind of catch up in that regard. We can get you caught up in just a moment with what we're about to do. So with the pranayama, what we're going to do is we're going to start inhaling with the left nostril closed, and then we're going to exhale with the left nostril open. So we're going to inhale from the right and then exhale from the left. And we're going to do all of this together in just a moment, but I want to kind of go over some more of the notes. We're going to do each side about 10 times. And this is then going to get our brain oscillating. The hemispheres are going to be oscillating together, and it is going to amplify the charge in your body so that this becomes the conduit. So also to note, when you're doing pranayama, Marcel Vogel says that this also gives you trinocular vision, which means that it starts to open and awaken your third eye. And that's what is important when it comes to the visualization part of this process. So, okay, again, we must learn to be coherent and neutral with our emotions if we're going to do this work. We must not be fearful or have any doubts, and ensure that we are ready and willing to experience the results without any judgments. We must approach these experiments with an open and rational mind. Negative thoughts and emotions negate all experiments. because love must be the strongest focus and intent. We must be disciplined enough to develop only thoughts and intentions of love with no other thoughts while doing this work. The first step in using the crystal is to clear any memory from the crystal. A crystal, once linked to a person's thoughts and energy, can then take on those thoughts and energy throughout the person's day. Therefore, holding a memory of a person's thoughts and vibrations. That means if you leave this crystal somewhere in your house, it's going to be picking up on your energy all day long because it becomes a part of you. It's like a mini me. So, but you know, when we're doing this process, it's very important to clear the crystal each and every time we're about to use it. Because if you've experienced any emotional outburst or upset or, you know, any kind of disharmonic energy throughout your day, it's going to go right into the crystal. It's a memory stick. Remember that. It's always with you. Once you put your spirit and your essence in it, no one else can put theirs in it until it is discharged. And this is why it's important to clear the crystal before each use. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice the pranayama techniques that Marcel speaks of right now to get our crystal nice and charged. And, you know, you can hold your crystal while you do this, or you can just have it at your side. It's really going to be focusing on the energy that's coming into your body at this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to place our finger on the side of our nose, on the left side. I know it might be different, you know, on camera, but this is my left. And what we're going to do is we're going to start inhaling from the right. So it's like this. It goes, and you inhale completely, and then you exhale. And then again, exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can mute your microphone. 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we change. We inhale from the left, exhale on the right. One more. And now what happens is you'll find that it's easier to breathe through both sides of your nostrils, because as you traverse throughout your day, your brain oscillates and it switches sides. So you may notice from time to time that you're breathing out one side more than the other. So if you take the time to do this brain balancing technique of pranayama, then it will start to not only charge your attention, because if you get a little tired or feeling a little sleepy, you can do this technique to get more oxygen in your brain, and it will electrify everything and illuminate your brain, and everything will be oscillating in the same sequence, and it'll give you more energy. So now with that being said, we're going to move on to how to clear the crystal. Now you're going to hold the crystal as if it were kind of like a pencil in a way, but like a laser pointer. You're going to put your finger on one of the facets at the top. Now I usually, you know, put my finger on the biggest facet just because it's comfortable. Otherwise I've got to put it on the, you know, a little bitty facet, and it's not quite the same. So, but you also want to rest the bottom of the crystal, or the small end, the shorter end on a Vogel crystal, in the palm of your hand, like this. So you're going to be resting like this. Now we're going to be discharging. So what we want to do is, if you're right-handed, then that is your positive hand. That is the positive charge that comes from your body. If you're left-handed, that's the positive charge. So it's not going to matter which hands that you hold the crystal in, but if your dominant hand is the pointing one, then just go ahead and use the crystal in your left hand. So we're going to go ahead and do it this way. We're going to hold the sides of the crystal, 2 of the facets that are on the sides, and then we are going to go ahead and put our index finger and thumb on the top and bottom. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in 3 times. And once we breathe in on the 3rd time, we're going to inhale deeply and we're going to exhale swiftly through the nostrils. While we do this in sequence of exhaling, you're going to envision clear. You're going to be looking at the upper portion of the crystal, this upper tip area, this triangle, like pyramid part, and you're going to focus on clear. Very important. So what I typically do, I'm just going to share this with you, and you can do it any way that you like. I envision a clear glass pane, like a window pane with nothing behind it. And so I envision that as I exhale, and that clears the crystal. So here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 breaths, like I said. And on the 3rd breath, we inhale, and then we swiftly exhale out of our nose while we're focusing on the triangle at the top and envisioning clear. So here we go. We're going to inhale deeply. Exhale completely out of your nose. Inhale again. Exhale. And then the 3rd one, here we go. Like that. And as you do that, the charge is going through the crystal in a very, very sharp, intentional, pointed way, just like a laser focus. It goes right through the crystal with the memory into it to just delete any memory that it has. So we're going to do this again. And on this time, we're not going to inhale 3 times. We're just going to inhale and we're going to do it swiftly again. So here we go. We're going to inhale. And that should clear. Now remember to focus on the top and envisioning a clear pane. That's going to help you clear the crystal. Now the way to test whether the crystal is clear or not is to start rubbing your finger across one of the facets. And what you'll notice is that it slides very easily. There's hardly any friction there. And then as you inhale, it gets really slick. Exhale, and it'll start to get a little sticky. This is your electrical charge and how it's affecting the crystal in this moment. So what I want you to do now is hold the crystal in your hand. You can also rub the top facet and it'll be silky smooth. There's hardly any friction there. That means the crystal does not have a memory. So you want to use the crystal, focus it now on that upper pyramid part. And I want you to raise your heart frequency to the level of love. You're going to put love and joy and healing intentions into the crystal. So we're going to do that now. As we look at the crystal, we inhale, and just like you're just giving it love and joy and peace and harmony and healing, we're just going to put all that intention right into the crystal, just feeling it go in there, breathing it in, and imprinting it into the memory. Now I want you to test it again and watch how that feels. Can you feel that crystal and how sticky it is now? That crystal now has a memory in it. And we want to charge the electric capabilities of it. So what we're going to do is when you're holding the crystal in your hand, you're going to rotate it clockwise. So it's going to look like this. Rotate it and spin it until it starts to get really sticky in your hand. This is also charging it up. So we're charging up the frequency, amplifying all of the energy that's going to be coming through the crystal. And you can just give it a few rotations and then stop and feel how sticky it is. It's very interesting. All the science behind this is very, very interesting. So now it's going to be really sticky. So we're going to draw in our breath again while holding it with the index finger on one of the facets. And the rest of it's going to be sitting in your palm. Release your breath out of your nose with a swift action. So we're going to be looking at the pyramid part again. And just look at that. And we're going to inhale and exhale swiftly. Now, some people may feel some energy flowing through the crystal. You may feel something, some sensation in your hand while you're holding it. Now, it may be really subtle and you may not feel anything. Now, I can feel a slight resonance. And right here with my hand like this, I feel like a magnetic energy coming through my index finger as I get closer to the crystal. It's really interesting when you start to really feel the energy that's there. You can feel almost like a magnet or some sort of resonant energy that's touching your skin. All right, so there's some notes here that I wanted to add. When you detach from your intentions and emotion, the crystal remains in stasis with its given memory. That means you can put this crystal away, and as long as you don't change any emotional states throughout the day, it will retain the memory of what you've just done. So you can actually go out and do experiments with the crystal like Marcel did, where he actually structured water by winding the water 10 times. I think it was probably in copper piping. 10 times he wound it across the crystal. And I'm not sure if he poured it back through 10 times, but he said that 10 times he spun the water around the crystal and it structured the water to the intentions that were in the crystal. And he also took some very, very poor wine, and they did over 100,000 gallons of experiments with this kind of wine, where it was a very poor quality, but they spun it in a clockwise direction around a charged crystal, and it structured the wine to be a fine wine. These are the implications that crystals have. And that's why I feel like this teaching is so important. Now, when you focus your attention onto a crystal, you can draw in your breath with intention, and on the outgoing breath, you apply the charge. That's when the action gets put in. That's the memory charge. And breathing with intention builds the electric charge in the body, and it creates the patterns that are necessary to release, balance, and heal the body. The index finger, again, is the trigger finger. And when it rests on the tip, you can actually use it as a shutter control, sliding it forward and back to increase the beam. If your finger goes back, then the beam gets wider. And if you slide your finger forward, the beam gets narrower. It's again, really fascinating. But he did experiments where he had different electrical equipment that could read all of these energies that are going through there. And now your trigger finger can also be used as a sensor. So when you're using it, you may start to feel like little energies that come through, or any kind of sensation to start witnessing any effects. Everybody's experience is going to be slightly different from other people's. So it's going to be interesting to see what types of feedback that I get from all of this. Once you guys go out with all this knowledge and start doing it in your daily practice, just to experiment with things, I'll be very interested to know what sort of results that you get and what sort of sensations that you're having, any kind of information that maybe we can obtain and share together to kind of grow on this knowledge. That would be great. That's what this is all about. And so when you lock into the body of a person, once we get to the next phase, which will be the next session that we have, then what you're going to do is you're going to use it like a dial on a TV or a radio, where you start by going counterclockwise, and then you slowly turn the dial until the person feels the energy or some sort of sensation from the turning. And once you get to that point, you've actually locked into the person's auric field. And I've done this with other people. I've been like, okay, just tell me if you feel anything. And then they go, oh my gosh, what is that? You know, it's like either it feels like a little heart palpitation or a little electric area or magnetic or heat. There's different sensations for each person. So, you know, it's going to be based on whatever that person's sensations are. Does it matter on size and shape? Not necessarily. Now, I'm not sure about the clusters that people are going to try to use. I am of the mindset that any crystal can work, but the clusters may be a little bit different because there's so many crystals. It's going to be hard to kind of focus on, you know, where to put the placement of your fingers and your intention. But I still strongly believe that any crystal will work as long as it's from the earth. I do know that Marcel said the crystals that are man-made have no effect because they do not carry the earth consciousness. And I believe it has something to do with the matrix of how the crystal grows. They actually grow with a spiraling motion, either clockwise or counterclockwise. And that doesn't matter, you know, as far as doing this work. But it's just interesting to note that they do have spiraling patterns of the matrix inside them that they grow from. Now, so the thumb and the second finger that hold the side of the crystal when you draw in your breath. So this one, when you draw in your breath and you release the breath, those two fingers may convulse or pulse a little. So when you're doing like this, when you're holding the crystal like this, you may feel a pulsing sensation in your negative hand. Your negative hand is going to be the one that's not your dominant hand. And therefore, it may create an additional charge when you're using a crystal. That's why I'm going to be very excited to hear any kind of news and feedback from the experiments that you guys do. All right, so we're going to sense the energy flow through our crystal now. We've already kind of given it a charge, but, you know, we're going to be discharging and recharging it a lot during this session so that we can kind of get the basics of what we're doing. So we're going to hold the crystal in our hand with the index finger on one of the facets of the positive end again. The thumb and middle fingers should be holding the sides. That's your left hand or your right hand, depending on what your dominant hand is, in order to pivot and balance in your hand. Okay, so when you're going to be using the crystal, again, you place the negative end in your palm and the positive end like this. So this is the pivot. And you can also oscillate from side to side in order to get any kind of indication of where the sensations are coming when you're starting to work with someone else. When we're working with yourself, it's going to be quite different because I did this last night and I'm telling you, it worked. It was blowing me away. So I'm so excited about this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to be holding our crystal just like a pointer. And we're going to close our eyes and breathe in. Okay, we're going to breathe in after we've been looking at the little pyramid part at the top. We're going to focus on that part now. And I want you to hold the thought of that shape in your mind's eye. So you're going to be looking at the crystal in your mind's eye. So we're going to close our eyes and breathe in, and then visualizing the pyramid top that the crystal has. And just as if you were actually looking at it in your hand, you're going to pulse your breath outwards with that vision, pulsing your breath towards the crystal in your vision, and then releasing the vision and charge into the crystal. You're going to rotate the crystal in one hand by spinning it clockwise. That's what we were doing when we were spinning it in our hand. We were rotating it clockwise. So it's just going to be like this, where you're just rotating it and it's spinning it, and it's going to get sticky. It will begin to get sticky in your hand. This is like a stator in a magnetic motor. The rotation induces a charge inside the crystal. And holding your arm up, you're going to take a deep breath and release your breath into the crystal while making a downward motion with your arm like a wand. Now point the crystal at your opposite hand. Okay, so we're going to do this now. Okay, now focus on the pyramid shape at the top of your crystal and close your eyes. Now imagine the top of the crystal in your hand and take a deep breath in, focusing on that image, and then exhale swiftly out of your nose. Now, open your eyes and rotate the crystal in your hand, giving it more charge of electricity from your body. Now I want you to take the crystal and your opposite hand held up, facing the crystal. I want you to start playing with how close you have to get to where you actually start feeling sensations in your opposite hand. Now mine is probably about 4 inches away. I can feel something, it's almost magnetic. I can feel it's almost tingly too, in a way. But you can, you know, spin it up and down. You can rotate it around, come back and forth across your hand, and pull back and see what you feel. Pull back about 1 foot or maybe 18 inches, and then come back in, defining the field where it is. The closer you get, the less you actually feel, which is kind of interesting. It goes through your hand, the beam does. So when you start coming back is when you can actually start feeling. Now, you may not feel anything. This is all about your awareness and learning to tune in to these very subtle energies that are around you at all times. It's going to be important to note that when you rotate a crystal clockwise or anything, this is when you're stirring your coffee and stirring your soup. When you rotate that energy in a clockwise motion, you're bringing in positive energy. Anything in a counterclockwise rotation is pushing out negative energy. So it's important when you're starting to think about your intentions and what you're doing, you know, and just in your day-to-day practice, okay, what do you want to bring in to your world? Do you want to bring in harmony and balance? And do you want things to be healthy and vibrant? So the clockwise motion is going to be very important when you're working with other people, because we obviously don't want to cause a disharmonic energy in someone's field by going counterclockwise. So we want to always start working in the positive clockwise motion. Okay. And you guys can, you know, if you guys want to talk to me about what you're feeling right now, you can go ahead and, you know, start sharing any experiences that you might be feeling in your hand. If you want to raise your hand on your virtual hand, if you want to ask any questions. Yeah, so what you want to do is hold the crystal in your dominant hand, your pointing finger hand, and that kind of thing. Because that it's going to be the positive. Your hand is going to be the positive to the negative to the positive, and it's going to shoot out the other end. I don't think it matters that much. He didn't express that it matters that much, but it's just something to consider. Hi, Rhonda. Go ahead and ask your question.
It wasn't really a question, but yeah, I can feel that little tiny pinpoint, but I can also see a little aura around the crystal too.
Oh, that's amazing. You've got better skills than me because I don't see anything, but I wish I could.
Just tiny, little. I mean, maybe like a 64th of an inch or something, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly a sensation, especially when you start breathing it and you start electrifying your body more. The more you do deep breathing in this practice, the more you're going to feel the sensations because it's based on the electrical charge. And
yeah, now I can't see that anywhere else but the tiny tip of it, but still, hey, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've just tuned into people's auric fields through the thymus gland, which is about 3 inches down from the little dip in your clavicle area. The thymus is just above the heart area. And when you dial into that area, which is, it's the focal point for the entire immune system. Sorry, I gotta.
Is not about on a dangerous building.
I gotta turn that off.
As head of the university security,
some of the,
choose to spend 40 minutes on the phone playing marriage guidance counselor.
Look at their TV on. Can you guys please mute your microphones? Okay.
Or iPads.
Yeah, or whatever it might be. Okay.
Whatever that thing is up. But
that's why it's important when we come in to just turn off the microphone. Okay, thank you.
Well, question, Ellen, when
Yes.
you're saying turn it clockwise, so when you turn it back toward your thymus, then do you go the other way?
So what's going to happen, this is going to be on the next session that we have, where
Okay.
we're actually healing someone else and we're tuning into their thymus gland. We're going to start by being as far counterclockwise as possible and then slowly rotating it in a clockwise manner until we get to the point where the person expresses that they actually feel something. That's what that technique is going to be about. Now, I don't want to get too far into that because we do have a lot to cover just in healing ourselves tonight. I just wanted to go over some of the basics of how the process is going to be working and, you know, feeling for the sensation. You guys can do this at any time, you know, to just sit and play with your crystal and learn about what the processes are and practice the techniques, and just kind of just repetition is how we're going to learn this. And experimentation, you know, experimenting with your animals, healing anything that might be bothering them. You're going to be able to use this on literally anything that may need to be healed. Anyone, any being, trees, whatever, you know, experiment as much as possible. Okay, so we're going to go on. If anybody has any more questions. Okay, if you're ambidextrous and if you feel like one hand is better than the other one, then please, by all means. I like I said, I don't think Marcel expressed any kind of concern over which hand you use. It's which one you feel most comfortable. But I do think that we have a positive and a negative balance in our body with our positive and negative hands and the energy flowing through us. So it's just something to consider. Yeah.
Well, maybe because I didn't put any instructions in the email. So maybe I can use this to have them apply it to one of their classes.
What is it, Joyce? Are you addressing me right now?
No.
Okay, yeah. If everyone can just mute your microphones if you're not going to ask a question. We're going to raise hands and all of that because the TVs in the background are starting to disrupt the video because we are recording right now. And we just want to try to stay focused on what we're doing. Yeah, thanks, guys. So here we go. So I'm going to keep going down all of the instructions. I had to go ahead and just write this all out so that we could sort of define everything. All right, that's pretty much the process. Now we're going to get into the self-healing technique. And there's a couple of different techniques that Marcel teaches for healing yourself. Now we're going to hold the crystal horizontal with both fingers holding the two pyramid ends. Now I have a broken end, so I'm just going to kind of hold the broken end in one hand and the structured end in the other. And we're going to focus our intention on one flat side. So just put one flat side facing you. Now align this crystal so you can look at the side and then inhale deeply and exhale swiftly out of the nostrils while visualizing clear. Again, you can use the visualization of a glass pane or anything that you feel guided to envision in your mind as far as clearing the crystal. So here we go. We're going to inhale. Think clear. And then we're going to rotate it again to another facet. And we're going to repeat the process. So here we go. We're going to inhale. Okay. Now, what we're going to do in this is we're going to rotate the crystal around horizontally. So now our other hand is grasping the pyramid end and the other is going to grasp the broken end. If you have a Vogel crystal, you're going to be just switching it from the long tip to the short tip. And here we go again. We're going to rotate it to a side that we haven't focused on. And we're going to do the same process. So we're going to inhale, focus on clearing, and we're going to exhale swiftly out of the nose. So here we go. And then we're going to rotate it to another set of sides. It's going to be the flat side. And we're going to inhale and then focus on clearing. Here we go. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to rotate to, no, we've already done the end. So this gives the movement of an electrical charge, balancing the force within the body. That's going to come inside of us. Since we're holding both ends, it's the beginning step of body balancing with the crystal. Hold the crystal in your hand with the index finger on one of the facets at the positive end, again, and the thumb and middle fingers should be holding the sides in order to pivot and balance in your hand. That's going left and right, that's up and down. The rest of the crystal should be resting in your palm. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Okay. And now look at the crystal. Again, we're going to be looking at the upper portion of the pyramid end, and we're going to take a deep breath and we're going to close our eyes. You're going to visualize the tip of the crystal again in the imagination, and then you're going to slowly let your breath out this time, breathing into the crystal. So you're going to hold the image of the crystal in your mind's eye. Through the crystal, you draw your breath in, and then after envisioning the crystal tip, go to the place in your body that's affected. So here's how it goes. You look at the tip, close your eyes, still envisioning the tip in your mind's eye. You're going to inhale and then slowly exhale through the nose. And now you're going to inhale, envisioning that tip. And I want you to go to an area in your body that needs to be healed. I want you to envision that area now. Think of it and hold it in your mind's eye. Now you're breathing, breathe in. Think of that area. Slowly breathe out. Put the intentions there. Now, what I want you to do is hold your opposite hand parallel with the crystal. Thinking of the crystal tip and also envisioning the area in your body that needs to be healed, I want you to start moving your hands, oscillating your hands forward and back, building up energy. Breathing, do some deep breathing. Envision the area in your body that is causing you discomfort. You're going to be breathing now, still holding that vision in your mind's eye. As you breathe, bring your arms close up, holding your arms up with your hand opposite the crystal. Envision that part of your body that needs to be healed. And with a snapping and breaking motion of your hands, you're going to twist your hands away from each other with the thought of breaking that pattern and then releasing it with the crystal. So here we go. Inhaling, envisioning the patterns breaking up in your mind, then making a snapping motion and exhaling swiftly out of your nostrils. Here we go. Now, this process is probably going to take you a few times to grasp all of the things that you have to do in coordination together. But once you get this and you practice this at home repeatedly, practicing the steps, you're going to start learning what to feel for and focusing on each and every body part. Going through this process and repeating it for each area. If you've got multiple areas in your body, then do this whole technique over and over, and it will begin to release all of the pain or discomfort in your body. As I said before, it's like peeling layers of an onion off. It's like this little patch of this area is gone. And my patch was probably almost a foot wide in my back. And then I peeled off that layer, but then underneath there were like little pockets of discomfort that were still left. So I had to go to another area and then go to another area and just move around. So it's going to be really interesting to use this technique, but it's all about visualizing the process. The more you can imagine what you are doing in your mind's eye, the more it works. And the belief system has to be real in order, because if you don't believe, that means that your heart's not into the process or the work, and it's going to create more challenges for you, and it may not even work. But as long as you are 100% into the practice, it will work, because I've done it and I've doused for areas in my yard that need to be healed. These are other things that we can do. So again, we're going to go ahead and try this again. Just as an example, we're going to do this as much as possible together, so that way we can learn the process again. So again, let's go ahead and discharge that memory from the crystal, holding it by your finger on one of the facets at the top, your thumb at the bottom, and then holding it with the thumb and forefinger of the opposite hand. I want you to look at the pyramid top and focus on clearing. So here you go. You got to inhale and then exhale swiftly out of the nose. Here we go. And when you exhale swiftly, you're holding the image of clear in your mind. And that, again, you can test by rubbing your finger across the crystal, and it'll be so silky smooth. And then when you put the charge in, you can hold it in your hand, or you can hold it with both hands if you want. If you hold it with one hand, what you want to do is inhale and feel love coming outward and into the crystal. It's going to hold that memory and hold that charge. And you're breathing in through the crystal, love and joy and healing. And then the crystal's ready to work. You can also exhale swiftly into the crystal if you like, because I've tried it both ways and it works both ways. So here we go. We're going to just envision the top pyramid of the crystal, close our eyes, still having that image of the crystal in our mind's eye. We're going to inhale and swiftly exhale out of the nose. Now, rub your finger across it. It's so amazing. Like, it's sticky. It has a lot of friction there. And even the sides, it's holding the memory. That's what's so fascinating. I mean, like, you can actually prove it to yourself that something's going on. If it doesn't feel sticky, then you've got to just keep trying this whole routine until it starts to feel like it's just sticking. And you're like, whoa, that's weird. It's fun though, because it's amazing. All right, so we're going to do the process again about envisioning the area in our body that needs to be healed. And then we'll move on to the second step of the process, where it's a different kind of process of healing ourselves. So we're going to look at the crystal, look at the pyramid top, and then close your eyes and breathe. Envisioning the pyramid shape at the top with all the facets and how it looks. Going to breathe in. And then exhale slowly. And then we're going to focus on the area of our body that needs to be healed. We're going to breathe, and then we're going to have our opposite hand up next to the crystal, and we're going to start oscillating our hands back and forth, forward and back with the crystal in unison while we breathe, and we're holding the image of our body and the area that's affected in our mind. We're building up the electrical charge. And as we're oscillating our hands, we're envisioning breaking up that energy pattern that's there, that's holding that distortion in the field of our body. Now, it may be that you start oscillating from side to side. Just go with the movement that you feel. Because last night I was standing up doing this and I was swaying side to side as I was building up the energy in the crystal. And it wasn't me doing it on purpose. It was the energy that was coming through my body. So we're going to oscillate and think about that space in our body. And we're breaking up those patterns now in our mind. So we're going to pull the crystal towards us with our opposite hand, holding that vision of the distortion in our body and the discomfort that's there. We're going to inhale deeply and exhale swiftly from our nose when we break the connection. Here we go. We're going to break that matrix. Here we go. Like that. And that's how it's done. And then you should start feeling the balance in your body. It's amazing. Like, I feel better already. It's doing something to me. And I'm just loving it. So let me know what your thoughts are, because we're going to be working on technique number 2 in just a second. But I'm telling you, I focused on my lower back, and I'm telling you, it feels real good right about now. Because I've had weird stress pains and tension all over my back from the accident from over a week ago. So did you want to say something? You have your microphone unmuted, iPhone. What's your name? Oh, okay, thank you.
Oh, hi, I'm Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Thank you. I just came in because I realized what time it was. Like, oh God, I missed the Zoom.
Oh, you haven't missed it, because we're recording it right now, and so you'll be able to go back and actually look at it once I upload it to YouTube. You'll be able to do this whenever you have time to learn the process and go through it and really learn the patterns and everything that's there, because it's all about repetition.
Okay, great. Okay.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Oh, you're
okay. So does anybody have any questions so far? Any kind of comments about the results they're feeling? I love to know, like, what kind of results and any kind of sensations other people are feeling, because I know what I feel.
Yeah, this is Jody.
Hi.
Hey, this is awesome. Thank you. You are a great teacher. It feels like the energy is moving. I've worked with crystals for, oh God, for longer than I can remember being alive. But I've never really directed them. And so far I've been feeling a lot of energy movement, a lot of, when you did that snap, I could feel the break. I could feel the tension, because I'm focusing on my neck and the tension in my neck, and it was just like released, so I definitely am feeling a difference. I could see where repetition would be absolutely beneficial, but for the most part, so what I'm noticing then too is the intention and really programming that love energy, that love and healing energy into the crystal. I had to stop myself from putting in healing energy, and I put in healed energy. So there was I noticed the second time we did it, I noticed a shift in that intuition that said, make it as though, don't put it as, what you don't want, put it as what you want. So that shifted, and this is great. So I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
That's great.
It's so important because too, now Marcel, because he was paid to study crystals for 27 years, he said all of the stuff that you hear, about charging it in the moonlight and charging it in the spring water and charging it on the day of the week or day of the month or day of the year, it's all bogus. It's all about your intention and your breath work. That's what discharges and charges the crystal. And unfortunately, there's a lot of just hocus pocus that people have been following. We're not sure where the origins are, but we want to focus on what we do know and can prove, which is what Marcel did in his work. He was paid to really, really work with the crystals and study them very closely. And he learned so much that we can share now with the world, all this knowledge, and start healing other people. Let's use people as experiments. I know Dan Willis, when he was on, he was talking about how he was gifted a Vogel crystal, and on the plane ride home after seeing Marcel, there was an athlete who had an injury in his knee, and he asked the man if he could help him with the crystal. He's like, well, I've been given this gift, so let me see what I can do to heal this man. And he healed the man's knee, you know, on the plane, and the guy was blown away. So you want to get an earth crystal? They have crystals online. You can buy them on Amazon. They do have them in bulk, and there are metaphysical stores. If you just Google or just do a web search of just quartz crystal, I like to work with one that's at least a minimum of 3 inches long. That way it's a decent size to fit in your hand. And this one I think is getting close to about 4.5 inches, almost 5 inches, I think. But one that's kind of long and narrow like this is, I feel that it's just more comfortable. I do have tons of little ones that are miniature that you can actually make necklaces into, and you can actually have that with you so that you can just take your necklace off throughout the day and heal somebody if you need to. Yeah, it's a thing. But metaphysical stores have crystals. A lot of times they're going to be kind of expensive.
I suggest something?
Oh yeah, sure.
The one like yours is beautiful. There are man-made, and then there are cut. So there's the man-made that are made like China makes a bunch, strangely enough. And they don't have that piezoelectric spark, but my understanding also is that neither does the Brazil crystals, although I think that they're coming online more, but the Arkansas crystals have got the piezoelectric. They don't use Brazilian crystals in computers, from what I understand. They're different. They are different. And if you get a lot of the crystals that come from Brazil, like this one, as is yours, I don't know if you could see this one, it's natural. It's got all those facets that are natural, rather than like from Brazil, they'll cut and polish.
Can you show us your crystal like a little bit farther away from the computer so that we can see?
Sorry.
Yeah, it was kind of blurry. Back it up just a little. There you go.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
And
yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, this one, and I dig crystals from Arkansas, and I don't necessarily have the size that you're holding, but if somebody wants to contact me, I'm in Ackworth, and I've got a bunch of crystals. But just when you're buying them, the ones that are polished and cut are not the true facets, because what the Brazilians will do is they'll take one that's been broken at the tip, and they'll just polish a new tip. And so they don't actually have the true facets. This one is natural. Exactly.
Thanks for pointing that out, because Marcel did say that the C-axis that's inside the crystal has to align with the ones that he cuts. The axis of the tip and the axis of the base have to absolutely align. Right. And he would cut his with love. So when he was in the lab and cutting the crystals, he would put on classical music and put always intentions of love while cutting his crystals to his precise forms. But the man-made crystals do not hold the consciousness at all. Now, I haven't heard anything about Brazilian versus Arkansas versus, over in Czechoslovakia or any of the other places globally, because all I know is that if it's grown of the earth, it holds some sort of consciousness. And even the amethysts and citrines and things of that nature, as long as they are not cut and polished and formed and molded, they should work. Because what happens is when you buy a crystal that's all polished and it's shaped to a certain way, you don't know which way they've cut the crystal, and it might go against the axis, which is imperative when doing this work, because it acts as a laser pointer with the energy, the natural matrix that runs through a natural crystal is imperative to maintain for this work. So you might not get results from something that looks really pretty and polished, and you know the edges are a little softer than the sharper edges of a natural one. I really don't mind it. I mean, this one has all kinds of haziness on the inside, but it still works. That's what's important to note. And I actually have a bunch, and I've started selling the crystals as well. I actually am I have some wire wrapping things that I've done. So I'm going to be selling wand tips and necklaces and things of that nature so that people can then start learning about crystals out in public. So I have them like literally almost everywhere now. I've got like the crystal supply and I like the big ones, but the little ones are really sweet too. They sell these long ones that you can get in bulk. And those are the ones that, you know, I'll eventually probably make them into like wand tips and stuff for different wands, because I believe that all this magical practice that they struck out so long ago is going to be making a comeback. And it's not really magic. It's just our intentions that affect our reality. That's all it is. I mean, the quantum field that they call quantum now used to be called the ether. And the ether is the field of energy that encompasses everything all around us at all times, is never apart from us. If there's no more questions or anything.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
I'd like to buy one of those big crystals. How do I buy that from you?
Oh, okay. Well, I have a PayPal account, and I don't charge very much for them. You know, I'm not here to make a whole lot of money. I just want people to have them. I've been giving them to my friends and family when they don't have one.
Okay.
I mean, it might be like $5 or something plus shipping or whatever, because
Sure.
I'm not interested in making money off this. I want people to be able to do the work. And
how do I get your PayPal account?
So here, I'm about to put my email.
Okay. And also, when I look up this video on YouTube, what do I look up under?
So I have a YouTube account, and I will post that as well. Let me go pull that up.
Okay.
And it's called Era of My Ways channel. And this is where I'm putting all of the videos. It's Era of My Ways. And I will post that so that you guys can see this once I get it up. And you can see the videos that are already there, where I interviewed Dan Willis and Jerry Marzinski. And I'll have Michelle Gibson was our speaker on Sunday. So she'll be also on there. I'm going to go ahead and post this. There you go. Era of My Ways. So instead of error, it's era, because I feel like I was born for this part of the second half of my life here. I always felt like I didn't quite fit in with society. And now I feel like I belong, because all this weird stuff is coming up.
Can I be seeing it on my computer now?
Go to the chat. I just shared it in the chat.
Okay.
If you just click on that little chat button that's at the bottom, you can open it up. And it should be at the bottom there.
It's not showing up on my chat there.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, somehow it went to the wrong. Here we go. Let me post it right here. I'm not sure. Sometimes that bottom indicator to field changes on its own. Okay. That's the YouTube channel. Here's this is my PayPal, and then Era of My Ways.
Okay.
The YouTube channel. Okay. Oh,
yeah, I see it now.
Yes.
Ellen's Art.
Yes, that is my email, which is also my PayPal. ellensart@yahoo.com. Okay, I've got this button keeps changing, so it's weird because it'll just randomly change to someone else. Okay, so let's get, if anybody doesn't, if you guys are done with your questions, we can go ahead with the second part of how to heal yourself. Does anybody have any other questions or comments? Any experiences you want to share? Okay, well, we're going to move on to the second portion of how to heal yourself. Now, we're going to clear the crystal of its memory. So holding the crystal in your dominant hand, whichever hand it may be, we're going to put our finger on one of the facets at the top on the pyramid shape with the bottom in our palm again. Draw in your breath while feeling this effect in your hand. Just feel anything from the crystal. Let your breath out slowly and notice any change in the intensity between your breath in and your breath out. So we're just going to start sensing anything coming from our hand. We're breathing. Now, if there's nothing there, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and discharge the crystal. Let's discharge it of its memory. Again, so we're going to hold our index finger is going to be at the top on one of the facets, and then our thumb is going to be on the bottom. You're going to hold it between your thumb and finger of the opposite hand on the two sides. And as you focus on the upper portion, which is the pyramid part, you're then going to inhale and then exhale swiftly from your nose, thinking and imagining clear when you do this. So here we go. And then rotate the crystal to another side. We're going to discharge it completely of any of its energy. Here we go. Another facet. Here we go. Rotate it again to another side, holding it between your thumb and forefinger. Inhaling deeply, exhaling completely. Thinking clear. Rotate it again. Now, I want you to test it and see. Mine is still a little sticky, so I'm going to clear it from one of the other sides that I missed. Test and see if your crystal is still sticky and holding a memory in it. And then just clear it. Now it's changed. Now it's smooth. So if at any point that when you're discharging your crystal, if it still has that stickiness, you want to make sure you discharge it completely. And you can do that by just going around to all of the little facets at the top and just making sure that each area has been cleared. Okay, so now what we're going to do, again, holding it between your forefinger, resting in the palm of your hand, and being able to pivot it like this, you want to just envision love and focusing it and aiming it at the crystal, directing it there, love energy, healing, joy, abundance. All of these beneficial things are going into the crystal. Breathing it. Now close your eyes and hold that vision in your thoughts of the tip of the crystal. And then exhale swiftly. Now test your crystal. It has retained a memory, or it should have. If it has not, then repeat the process of putting the charge into the crystal. And now, open your eyes and rotate your crystal clockwise in your hand. You're just going to spin it for a few moments, increasing the electrical charge. That piezoelectricity is going to be increasing. And you can feel it. It gets sticky. Now, move the opposite hand away from the crystal while still rotating it around. Feel the sensations. So you're going to be rotating it, and you're going to be feeling for any sensations. Now I can feel it. It feels like a vibration coming into this hand. All right. Now move your opposite hand to the original position. And you're going to move the crystal up and down like this. You're going to be oscillating your hands back and forth. And now continue to raise and lower the crystal. Take a deep breath in. Close your eyes and go into the crystal with your breath, breathing swiftly out of the nose. So you're going to envision the crystal tip, closing your eyes in your mind's eye. You're envisioning the tip of the crystal, and it's oscillating back and forth with your hands. And then you're just going to breathe out of your nose very swiftly. Okay. Now, You got to visualize what you need to do, what needs to be healed in your body. So as you're doing this, you're going to close your eyes again. You're going to draw your breath in, increasing the rotation speed of your hands. So we're going to be rotating our hands in a circle. Here we go. We're going to be rotating them out and around. Envisioning the areas that need to be healed. Increase your breathing speed. And as you're rotating this around, just envision that area on your body. And then again, we're going to do the snapping motion. So it goes something like this. We're going to be rotating, spinning faster, envisioning that area in the body. And then we're going to snap our hands away while we exhale our breath. Here we go. Inhaling. And then breaking the pattern. When you snap like this, pulling your hand away from the electrical charge that the crystal is giving off, you're snapping the connection, breaking up the matrix of distortion that's in your body. And that's very important to do through the nostrils, because the nostrils, again, focus and pinpoint the energy coming out of the body. They amplify the energy like a laser. So if you open your mouth, it's not as strong. It doesn't have the same power. And that's pretty much it. That's all of the techniques. But you can do this over and over until you know it. And you just go and you practice on yourself. And then for the next time we meet, we're going to practice on other people. So it'll be beneficial if you have a partner that you can do this on. If you don't worry. Again, I'll be recording the conversation so that we can actually review the notes and practice on other people when we have someone with us. Are there any questions? Anybody want to practice this? Does anybody want to say anything about the whole technique? Do you feel any kind of differences in your body when you're doing this work? Because it's really going to be about your intention, your visualization, the love charge that you put into the crystal. It's going to be very, very important. We must do this work with love, and that is expressly spoken about by Marcel. He said, if you do not have the right mind state, then you should not practice this work, because the crystal is going to pick up on any of the energy that you're emitting at any given point of time. Tingling is typical. Now, any sensation that you may feel a vibration or a pulsing or any sort of differentiation from your normal patterns when you're working with the crystal. As you breathe in and breathe out, and especially if you're doing the pranayama breath, charging up the energy in your body, you're going to start feeling energy pulsations coming through your hands, coming through your body parts, and especially coming through your crystal hand. So that is normal. That just means that things are working. But remember too, that when you're using the crystal and you want to increase the area, you can pull your finger back to like the edge of one of the facets on the pyramid tip, and it will widen the beam that comes out. And then if you want to narrow that beam, you push your finger forwards closer to the tip. And yeah, so I can't wait to hear what everybody's experience will be after this meeting and after you go and you practice this method, because that's going to be the true test of how far we can go with this. And using this in your daily life, and doing this in the morning if you don't quite feel so good, or maybe you're not having a good day already, just start breathing before you even grab your crystal. If you intend to use it, start breathing and focusing on your breath work, practicing the pranayama technique, the inhaling and exhaling. and doing this and then switching sides and inhaling from the right and exhaling from the left. Do that 10 times on each side and you will start to feel better because you're increasing the electrical conductivity in your body. It gives you more energy. It makes you feel more alive. So yeah, if you want to get a crystal, you can also email me at my ellensart.com. The Ellensart, ellensart@yahoo.com. I'll put that up again for people who may have missed it. It's ellensart@yahoo.com. And if you need a crystal or if you have any questions, you can reach me there, or you can reach me through Connecting Consciousness on my email there, which is much longer. That's why I like using my personal email because it's much shorter. I can't even remember my other one. And I have actually switched my coordinator role. So I've kind of stepped down from the administrative aspect of it because I want to focus on the creative aspect and to help people with different creative and constructive ideas that we can do throughout Georgia. So I'm going to be kind of doing a sideways slide and kind of stepping down from administrative more. But yeah, if anyone needs a crystal, just reach out to me. I sell them at very, very dirt cheap prices. I may just, need to cover some of the expense with the shipping cost. But other than that, if you need one, just let me know. Does anybody have anything to say? Any questions?
Thanks, Ellen.
You're welcome. I can hear my speaker on your computer.
Thank you, Ellen. I much appreciated, and I can't ever get my camera right. Thank you, very appreciated. And the more we practice, the more it's going to be, definitely. I mean, I know it feels clunky, but it'll smooth itself out.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's all, we're all experimenting. I'm no expert on this. I've been watching Marcel for a few years now, and it wasn't until this year that I really focused and hunkered down on his techniques, because I'm like, the implications of this are huge. And why no one else is actually pushing this forward just to share with the world, it's beyond me, but I'm like, maybe that's just my purpose. I'm supposed to be one of the ones to branch out and say, look, this is very important. This is a physical, scientific tool that has been proven scientifically to work with the techniques that I've just discussed with you and shared with you. And these are not my techniques. These are Marcel Vogel's techniques. So I give all the credit to him. It's just that he's no longer here to express this with people anymore, but his legacy is online on YouTube, and you can go and learn from him too. Just research Marcel Vogel in YouTube, but put crystals, because I noticed what people end up doing is they make a band called Marcel Vogel or a song called Marcel Vogel. And those are the first things that pop up. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I don't know if that's part of the whole agenda to cover up real knowledge. It's a little bizarre to me.
Yeah.
But it's still there. And even Dan Willis has it on his marcelvogel.org website that he dedicated to Marcel Vogel's work. There's lots of links there. He compiled a lot of information based on Marcel's research, a lot of his videos. You can just click on there and read documents and then watch some of the video links. It's amazing. There's hours and hours and hours of Marcel sharing this knowledge for free, from some of the conferences that he went to. I don't know, what he was charging at the time, but I wish I could have gone and met this person because he's amazing. You can tell he just works with absolute love and affection for every human that crosses his path. It's amazing. So, does anybody else have anything to say? Any comments, questions, suggestions? Well, if there's nothing else that anybody has to share, then I encourage everyone to go and use your crystal. And if you don't have one, get one. If you don't have one and need one, reach out to me through my email. ellensart@yahoo.com. I'll get you a crystal. Now I have different sizes. They are, you know, on the average, they're 2 to 4 inches long, depending on what I have. And I have everything from the little bitty thin ones that I showed you to the ones that are, you could actually have wired and put in a necklace that you hang around your neck and then carry around so that you could just have it at all times. But I have to highly recommend that you discharge your crystal. If you're going to wear it and carry it around with you all the time, it's only going to resonate with your frequency because you've stored your essence in the crystal. It's not going to grab anyone else's. It's like a little part of you. Once it gets charged with your auric field and your energy, it's going to retain the memory of yourself. But it can pick up on your thoughts and stuff as you traverse throughout your day. That means you put your crystal somewhere, you know, it's probably going to pick up and resonate with your energy wherever you go. So you're going to want to discharge it before you use it. It's very important just to make sure that there's no discordant or disharmonic energies that are being stored in the crystal at any given moment from your own energy. So with that being said, oh, should they be recharged? Not, again, the crystals, because Marcel was paid and worked with these crystals, he studied them very closely for IBM for 27 years. He was the pioneer for the crystal technology for IBM and what they can do in watches and computers and all kinds of technical applications. But a crystal does not need to be charged in the sun or under spring water or the moon or anything like that. That's all bunk. It's bogus. What it works with is your intentions and the frequency you emit towards it. So discharging it is very important. Using your breath, which is what Marcel discovered, is with the breath that is very, very important, because the inhale of your breath is an electrical charge. That's a positive charge. And when you exhale, it's a negative charge. So when you're exhaling swiftly through your nose, it's like a laser focus and it amplifies the energy that's coming from your body. That's why it discharges with the crystal. It works like in harmony because it is no different from water. Water holds memory, but I feel like a crystal is going to be the physical bridge to bring our consciousness around to knowing absolutely that we affect our reality and everything around us at all times, because everything has water. Everything around us is made of water and has water molecules and therefore holds a memory, which means, you know, we got a lot of work to do. And this is a beginning. This is a real beginning for us of remembering who we truly are and what we're truly capable of. Because this world is much, much greater and much more expansive than we were ever taught. So you're welcome. Any more comments, questions, suggestions? You're welcome. Well, you guys can unmute your microphones if you wish. I'm going to go ahead and say good night. We're going to close this meeting, and I will be putting up the next date for the second part to this, where we're going to be healing other people, because it's a little bit different process, since we'll be tapping into people's thymus fields and also into their body parts. So join us again for another crystal session with the Crystal Brigade, because you guys are part of the brigade now. You get to be set upon the earth to go and practice and try to come back with some results. You know, get in touch with me, let me know, you know, what's happening, what's not happening, what's working, not working. I want to know the pros and cons of it all. Yes, we are recording right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to be sending out a link to the YouTube channel, which is Era of My Ways. I'll put that again. It's the YouTube channel that I've been putting and storing some of these meetings at so that people can go back and learn all the processes and the different guest speakers that we've had. Yeah, Era of My Ways is on YouTube. And I have a link. Let me put this here. There you go. Era of My Ways. And if you go ahead and sign up for the notifications, you will be notified on YouTube when the videos become available, because it takes me a little time just to go through the editing and add a title screen and all that stuff. I try to keep it really basic and simple so I don't have to edit too much. But just go to the channel and subscribe, like, and share. Let's get this message out, because this is not my technique. It's Marcel's technique, and the world needs to know about him and his work and how magical it is, because it's pretty important, I believe. With that being said, I want to bid everyone adieu and have a good evening, and thank you so much for being a part of this. You have no idea how happy I am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
You're
thank you.
welcome, each and everyone.
Thoroughly enjoyed.
All right, thank you, and have a good evening. Look for my email. I'll be sending it out about how to heal others. It's going to be great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.